Hello, it's me, Kessler. How we doing? And today we're doing another One Piece deck profile. Last time it was on the Fishman himself, Hody Jones. This time it's on Kozuki Oden, a deck that has already become one of my favorite decks. He came out in the Memorial Collection, EBO1. And he's just really fucking strong. Like, people are sleeping on this leader right now because they're so focused on Bonnie and Lucci. I think people are still focusing on Reiju and other OPO6 leaders, leaving Oden for the pickings. Now, the cool thing about Oden is that, just like with OPO3 Nami, he has a special ability. Well, Nami's was that she could deck herself out, and that was a alternate win con of hers. Oden's is that he gives all my Land of Wano type characters that do not have a counter, well, a 1k counter. That's power creep, ladies and gentlemen. We've gotten to the point of the game where we're giving characters that don't have counters a counter. And that's going to shape red and green Wano character designs forever, because Bandai's now going to take into consideration Oden. Yeah, I just think that's really cool though. And now Oden's actual ability, that just continues to be power creep. For 1 Dom when he's attacking, if I have a 5 cost or greater Land of Wano type character in play, he gets plus 1k power until the start of my next turn. So if I get a 5k or greater Land of Wano type character, and I got 1 Dawn under Oden, he has Whitebeard stats. And when he attacks, he's going to be a 7k. It's just power creep, ladies and gentlemen. This is just power creep. And so, let's get into the deck. Now, the sim just positions everything in a way I don't like it. Like, it just put all my Dawn counts for characters out of whack. So, do forgive me right quick if I'm zooming back and forth multiple times between characters. I'm just trying to go in order of the Dawn cost. So, just a little heads up. So, we're going to start off here with our Kozuki Momonosuke. Released all the way back in good old OPO1. The $500 booster set. Now, Momo's effect is that activate on main, tap a Dawn, and rest Momo. Reveal the top 5 cards of my deck. Look at the top 5 cards of my deck and reveal a Land of Wano type card, which can include Momonosuke. So he's just your in-archetypal searcher. In Yu-Gi-Oh terms, he'd be your Stratos. He would be your Stratos. He would be your Allure. He would be just all that. He's just your searcher. And in OPO7, which just released in Japan, they have a new Otama, which is also a searcher for Land of Wano. And she's a green card. But since the sim has not updated to OPO7, she is not in here. So for now, our only searcher is Momo. And then our last one dropper plane is the Otama. Her effect never comes up, but what she does is that on play, I could give one of my opponent's characters minus 2k during this turn. We don't ever use that effect. We just use her for a 2k. So, yeah, that's just her only use. And that's just our 1Ks. Moving onward, we move on to our 2K counter. To our 2 Dons. And our only 2 Don cost card is Rosinante. He's just your blocker, the best green blocker in the game, because he's always going to guard something at the end of the day. So that's really all I gotta say about Rosinante. He is getting a special full art though, so I'm looking forward to picking that up. And moving on to 3 costs. We play a good chunk of 3 costs actually. So first of all, we got Cat Viper, released all the way back in OPO2. He is just a blocker. And because he has 4K, sometimes I feel comfortable enough to attack with him, because I could just put a Don under him and he'll be a 5K, meaning he can hit leaders, but typically he's just going to be a blocker. And well, he's always able to defend in hand because off of Oden's special effect, he's a 1K counter. Love how I could say that. So good. Then nextly, we're playing the brother and sister duology. For Izo, he's just typically our 2K counter, but his effect will come up from time to time. And then the best 3 costs in the deck. Kiku. Just a really good pressure card all around. What she does is that for 1 Dawn, when she attacks once per turn, I can rest an opponent's 5 cost or less. So she's able to rest blockers. She's able to, just rest big 5 costs or less that I need to get rid of. But her main objective is to rest the blocker. And she's, just a really good pressure card. Nothing much else to say about her. Aside that, she becomes a 1K counter because of Oden. Yeah. So we move on to the 4 Dawn costs. And we play quite a few. So first of all, we play Ryuma, released in OPO6. On play and KO, I can KO an opponent's rested 4 cost or less. So he's a 1K counter because of Oden. He's a 6K body. And he's just a pop a card on play and KO. This card is crazy. Though sometimes I feel like I don't want to play him. Just because of the fact that he's a green card. My opponent's character has to be rested. This card works a lot better in Perona. But because it's a Wano type card, I just play it. Or more specifically, I'm trying him out for a while. I don't know what I'd replace him with, but come OPO7, when I do a deck profile for post OPO7 Oden, we'll see if he's still in the deck. And then nextly, we're playing 3 Yamato. Just good old OPO2 Yamato. Being able to rest a 6 or less on play. She's just a big Ooga Boonga beater. She just beats things really hard. I guess you can say technically in combo, you could play the Yamato and then drop a Ryuma. Or playing Izo and rest something off of Ryuma. Maybe I'll keep it in, I don't know. But I will be doing updated deck profiles for for various decks that do get support in future sets. I will be doing updated deck profiles. And real quickly, let me go over my ratios. I find that three Yamato and three Ryuma work best because they can still kind of be bricks a bit in hand. As weird as that to say, because I got Oden's 1k counter effect. But sometimes it's just really awkward. Like if you get him off life or you draw him for turn, you can't really... You may have wanted something else at that point, so it can be awkward. But they still have their uses, and I just find 3 works for both of them. Just like with 3 Catfight Bird works best for me. And then finally we play the best 4 cost in the deck, Kozuki Oden. This card is just insane. Her effect is that I can trash this card. Place this card in the trash. And then play a 5 cost or less Wano type character other than Hiyori from my hand into play. And that itself just sounds really good. I also get the draw card. So I essentially get to replenish the card I lost. This card is insane. It's just a maximum 4 of. You play 4 Hiyori. If you're going to build this deck, you play 4 Hiyori. Because she can not only play my 5 costs, but she can also drop down a Catfight Bird if I need a blocker. Drop down a Yamato if I want to rest something, or I just want a giant beat stick on the board. Same with Ryuma. If I need to rest something right there, I can drop an Izo. Or if I want to create more control pressure for later turns, I could drop down an Okiku. The possibilities are as high as a 5 cost, but still very good possibilities. And that's it for the Wano 4 costs. We'll go over these 2 after. We'll go over this and this after I go over all the Wano stuff. Now for 5 costs. Thankfully, all my 5 costs are Wano type cards. So to start off, we are playing the 4 Yamato from this set. She is a 2k counter, so that's really good all around. And her effect is that I could give a rested Dawn to one of my leaders or characters. So her whole idea is that you're going to give a Dawn to Oden so that you can proc his effect, because she is a 5 cost. And Oden's attack effect requires me to have a 5 cost or greater than a Wano character, so that he could be a 6k stats and attack for 7k. This is literally just the combo you do. Your first your first 5 Dawn turn, you drop down the Yamato, you place the Dawn on Oden, and then you just swing with Oden. That's the main combo. But notice how it doesn't say you have to give it to a Kozuki Oden or a Land of Wano type card. This card is just generic. It's just generic red support. And her stats are not bad. She can already hit a leader. Yeah, being 5 costs is a little steep, but for the sake of this deck, it kind of has to. You could play this in other red decks. I think you could probably play this in VV. Thinking about it, because I got some of my locals who plays a VV deck. I'm thinking way too far into this. But this Yamato is just fantastic all around. And it's a 4 of you're gonna play. And then next is the last new Wano card released in the extra booster. That being Izo. He has the same type of effect as Yamato by being able to place a Rested Dawn onto anything. But his big effect is where he shines the most. On the opponent's attack, once per turn, I can discard a card from my hand, and if my leader has the Land of Wano or Whitebeard Pirates type, I can minus 2k to an opponent's leader or character. This is good interruption. And if your opponent has a guy that's trying to attack for, say, 7 on my Oden, I could just trash a card. Let's say I trash a Ryuma. I can make that a 6k a 4k. Or I can make that 7k a 5k. Izo is just interruption. It's not going to propel Whitebeard into tier 1 meta relevancy, but this does help out the deck. But this also is just good. Just good Wano stuff. 7k base, so instant magic number. Be able to defend Oden. And because of Oden, gets a 1k counter. And then lastly, for the Wano cards, 3 Denjiro. Why only 3 enough for, you may be thinking to yourself. Well, I've tried 4, and I found that 3 works the best. Because to me, your main 5 cost on turn is going to be a Yamato or an Izo. But if you really want to push it, maybe you can play 4 Denjiro and 3 Izo. Up to you, really. But for those who don't know what Denjiro does, he released all the way back in the very first set of the game. Its effect is that from 1 Dawn, when he attacks, if my leader is Kozuki Oden, I set 2 Dawn as active. That's right, I'm getting 3 Dawn back. Crazy. And since, as you can see here, we play no events, if I want to drop down another Momo, get another Surge off, I can do that. If I got Dawn I want to place on something, I can do that. This card is just fantastic all around. It's been good since release, and it continues to be good to this day. This card has aged beautifully. And because he's a 7k base, he hits magic numbers right there. And in OPO1 format, Denjiro pretty much was the reason, aside from Kinemon, Denjiro was the reason why Mono Green Oden was able to do well. This is literally just one of the best Wano cards made. And it is my favorite Wano card in the deck. Well, it's just one of my favorite cards in the deck all around. And then finally, we're moving on to the, aside from the Rosinante, which I went over, we're moving on to the last few non-Wano cards. So we're playing 3 Kid and Killer. Kid and Killer is a rusher. He's rush. And then when he attacks, if my opponent's life is 2 or less, he gets 2k. So he becomes a 7k. This card is fantastic. And I'm sure it's going to be played in almost every red deck. Or red extra color deck. Play this card. If you're going to play this deck, or when the Memorial Collection releases, and you play any red deck going forward, you play Kid and Killer. Because it's a rusher that hits leaders, and his one attacking effect does not require a Dawn. And that's just what makes him so good. Aside from being an early game rusher. And then lastly, I don't need to give an introduction to the man, the fish, the Dollar Tree Arlong himself, Hody Jones. But I will anyway. He is the first green card with Rush, and I've done a whole deck profile where I went into the reasons why he's good, and I did a whole stream of me playing the deck, and I did 2 deck demonstration videos with the Hody Jones deck, and I just shown why this card's really good. But if you need a crash course again as to why he's really good, okay, aside from the fact that he has Rush, he can rest up to 2 of anything. Oh no, I gotta take a life. God, anyway, I got a big Oonga Boonga body on the field that you are going to have to put a good number of Dawn on to get rid of. And that's just what makes him so damn good. It's just that big body. It's just that good. But anyway, this is the completed Kozuki Oden red-green deck. My next stream is going to be me playing this deck, and my next video is going to be me demonstrating this deck. Because this deck actually has some pretty good matchups. And it's also funny to see when people forget that Oden just has that one extra 1k on their turn. Oh, most people don't even realize it. The fields and plays this deck can make is just absolutely disgusting. And hell, I'm still learning the deck. So this is just more practice for me. And you'll be watching and I'll be learning. Anyway, I hope you did enjoy this deck profile on Kozuki Oden. I do really enjoy the deck. It is just one of my favorite decks going forward. It's going to be just, a deck I play a lot. It's going to be my Land of Wano deck I play. Because I've always wanted to play a Wano deck. And now I have one here to play when the set comes out in English. Anyway, with all that being said, I'll see you all on the next video and on the next stream. Have a good one, my people.